very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we will take your calls. 888-658-0234. Light rain this morning, maybe a flurry or two here or there. Then breaks of sun this afternoon, highs in the mid to upper 40s, 37 degrees right now. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta.
Good morning, Ken.
Do we have the intro, Pam?
Maybe it'll come up later. It's okay. It'll come up later. Wait, this weather sponsored by Audio Nova. See, had to make the 4 times an
It's the
hour. We're
intro.
good
That's
to go.
better.
But nobody can beat Mike Black though. His voice, that deep bass
I'm
baritone
with you.
voice. Nice way to get you going. It's a good thing to hear in the morning, right? Because the forecast was sounding good yesterday. Now today it's a little wet as you head out the door. So if you're headed out right now, anticipate to bring the umbrella for the morning commute. Look at all this rain coming down right there across Edison, Newark, basically along Route 78, intersecting with 287, heading into portions of Union and Essex County right now. Lots of wet weather as our morning rush gets going with those showers. You'll see on the traffic cameras coming up in just a sec just how bad that rain is. Most of the heavy rain, where you see the green shade, that's where at least a ½ inch has fallen, and that is primarily down the shore, mostly in in the Pine Barrens and kind of no man's land there, down toward the ocean and Burlington County. But the rest of the state north of 195 sees some of that wet weather as well. There's no alerts as a result, but still, it's a chilly, cold rain as temperatures hovering right around the freezing mark. Pam, our director, reported a little bit of snow this morning up by her in the northwestern corner of New Jersey. So yes, there is plenty of cold air in place with that rain to fall, and there could be a snowflake mixed in at times, especially as we head through the afternoon. Notice the jump in temperatures only down the shore, down toward Cape May, 23 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. So that's the warm front doing its job and moving in, allowing for the rain to fall elsewhere. There are some of those snowflakes being picked up in northeastern Pennsylvania. Could tap into a few of those in the next few hours today. But it's all about that wind down the shore, just a couple of clouds lingering through the rest of the afternoon, through the remainder of the state, and it's going to be a kind of a gray finish to the day. We could get a break of sun throughout this afternoon, but plan more so on the gray sky through the rest of the day. There's a few of those shades of pink and blue up there in the northwestern corner of New Jersey, indicating could see a snowflake mixed in with that rain. The rest of this afternoon, mostly cloudy. Best chance of seeing a break of sun is in the northern part of New Jersey. Elsewhere, mostly cloudy. Into tomorrow, it's dry, it's cool, it stays a little breezy. Temperatures struggle to leave the 30s and 40s. It's going to be another raw feeling day with the cold weather around. And then throughout the day on Friday, next round of rain comes in primarily for southern New Jersey. So plan on some wet weather for you. For the southern half of the state during the day, maybe a sprinkle after dark by Friday evening for the rest of New Jersey. The next few days features that chilly feel, not anticipating any warm up anytime soon, holding in the 50s with some more wet weather scheduled on the way for Saturday. We'll tell you more about that, Ken, coming up with a full look of your weekend weather in just a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. And we have a temperature of 37 degrees in northern New Jersey right now, also 37 degrees in Trenton. And look at that, 37 degrees down in Vineland. In terms of traffic, here's what we got. We go over to 676. This is as you make your way toward Philadelphia in Camden. Right now, we have exit 1, Collings Avenue in Camden, 2 right lanes of the 4 lanes, and the right shoulder all closed. You could see the emergency vehicles there flashing lights. So there's a problem there, especially with the rain throughout the region. Just understand you're going to have to give yourselves extra travel time today. We also have a crash on US 1 southbound by Harrison Street, West Windsor Township. The left lane of 3 lanes and the right shoulder closed there. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway, now reported southbound at the Essex Toll Plaza in Bloomfield. I don't know if we have that camera, but that's a very busy area normally, but now with a crash there, that's going to cause an absolute mess. Again, that is on the Garden. Oh, that's right. We don't have the camera there. A lot of our Garden State cameras are out for repairs right now. We also have a crash and vehicle fire on the Garden State Parkway. It's in the express lane southbound north of exit 120, Lawrence Harbor and Old Bridge Township. The left shoulder is blocked there. And down on US 9 southbound by Route 34 and Old Bridge, We have problems down there. We are told they're just refreshing it right now. 2 left lanes of the 3 lanes closed there. And a traffic signal down Route 124 eastbound Springfield Ave in Springfield Township with the right lane of 2 lanes closed. We look at the Hudson River approaches right now. Lincoln is 30 minutes. The Holland is only 15 to 20. And the GWB upper and lower is actually not bad. That motion you see right there is good. We're told it's 20 to 25 into Manhattan right now. 7:05 is the time. The Senate approved a House-passed bill that would require the Justice Department to release files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, effectively sending it to President Trump's desk as soon as it is formally transmitted from the House to the Senate. That has been done. So now, sometime this morning, it's expected President Trump will sign this, because earlier this week he said he would, and it would compel the Justice Department to publicly release files related to Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell within 30 days of it being signed into law, with some exceptions for survivors' personal information and other sensitive material. Republican lawmakers denounced the vote as a stunt, pointing out the Democrats were clearly hoping there would be dirt in there on Trump, but it looks like they will be grossly disappointed. And that is what this has been all about. For those of you wondering why this has been talked about so much, it's basically because the Democrats wanted to change the narrative, because the narrative had been that they had shut down the government. They were getting some bad press. And so this was a good way to change the subject, because there's nothing in there on Trump. They've already reviewed this. The Democrats had this in their hands throughout the Biden administration and found nothing. So had they, believe me, during the 4 years of Biden, if they found one iota that was negative toward Trump, they would have had that out, and they didn't. So I think this is going to go bye-bye in a fast way. I guarantee within a couple of news cycles, by the end of the week, you won't hear another word about Epstein. That'll be it. 7:07, reports suggest that in 2013, House Minority Leader Democrat Hakeem Jeffries solicited funding from disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein had already become a convicted child predator. One of the latest batches of files related to Epstein revealed there was a solicitation for funding sent from a firm representing Jeffries that was sent to the sex predator. In an email sent from the firm to Epstein, it reads, quote, "We are thrilled to announce that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars in New York congressional delegation." Now, again, this isn't, you could say, all right, so he's sending money, he's looking for money from his constituents. No, the problem is that constituent had already been convicted, and they knew that, or at least should have known, that this was a convicted child predator, and yet they were looking to him for money, and they had no problem doing that. No comment from Jeffries at this point. When he's asked about it, he just changes the subject. Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, he wanted this all done and released in terms of the thought that there might be something negative on Trump, but now that it's backfiring on him, there's not a word to be said. He was sometimes, by the way, referred to as Brooklyn's Barack. Jeffries was. He's a staunch supporter of President Obama and a progressive voice for the people of New York City. That was in the request for money that came, of course, from the Hakeem Jeffries camp to Jeffries. 7:08 is our time. President Trump held a friendly meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House yesterday. He praised the prince for his statesmanship and announced $1 trillion in new Saudi investment in the United States. $1 trillion. The White House rolled out plenty of pomp for the Saudi royal, dispatching fighter jets for the two to watch. Trump formally announced a deal to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia, and the Saudis have said they would join the Abraham Accords. That would bring a lot of peace in the Middle East, but only after there's a credible and guaranteed path to Palestinian statehood, something the president has suggested may in fact be a possibility. Mikey Sherrill has resigned. You heard me right. From Congress, that is. The governor-elect of New Jersey formally submitted her congressional resignation letters to House Speaker Mike Johnson and Governor Murphy. Sherrill wrote in a social media post that, quote, "Serving New Jersey's 11th district in Congress has been the honor of a lifetime." Sherrill was elected as New Jersey's newest governor earlier this month, defeating Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Governor Murphy will now call for a special election to replace Sherrill. 7:09 is our time right now, and a liberal Democrat, former Dumont mayor and current police sergeant, was arrested Monday for allegedly drugging and sexually assaulting a child he met online. 44-year-old Jersey City Police Sergeant Andrew LaBruno, who unsuccessfully ran for a state assembly seat earlier this month and was endorsed and supported by Mikey Sherrill, we should add, went to the Englewood home of what we see is reportedly a young boy that he met online on Monday and sprayed an unknown substance into his hand before placing it over the victim's mouth and nose, causing the victim dizziness, according to a criminal complaint. LeBruno is a married father of two. He allegedly then sexually assaulted the child, who was physically helpless from the drugging. LeBruno, who ran on the Democratic ticket for the 39th Legislative District in Bergen County, has been charged with aggravated sexual assault, and endangering the welfare of a child. And word is he has been suspended from the Jersey City PD. The victim was brought to a local hospital for treatment. 7:10. And did you have an internet issue at all early yesterday? In fact, Pam, you may recall when I said, "Uh-oh, I don't know what's going on." Remember that, Pam? Pam's like, "Yes, I do." Well, that issue was Cloudflare. So the widely used internet infrastructure company said that it had fixed an issue that led to outages impacting folks using anything from ChatGPT to the NJ Transit System to my teleprompter right here. The company Cloudflare worked all morning yesterday to get things back to normal. Other platforms with outages, included X, Shopify, Dropbox, Moody's credit rating service, and Coinbase. Cloudflare, based in San Fran, provides internet infrastructure that protects websites from online threats. So it did what it was supposed to do. No word on what caused that particular issue. Ecuador is not going to be hosting U.S. bases. Over 80% of Ecuadorian voters rejected a proposal to allow a U.S. military base in their country. They also voted against constitutional changes and reductions in political party funding. The referendum, seen as a rebuke to President Daniel Noboa, critics argued that hosting a U.S. base would undermine Ecuadorian sovereignty, while supporters said that it would help fight drug violence. 7:12, and President Trump said that he would not rule out military action against Venezuela, while also expressing openness to diplomatic dialogue with Nicolas Maduro. He linked Maduro to drug trafficking and migration, suggesting pressure could escalate if talks fail. The U.S. has increased its military presence in the Caribbean, framing it as counter-narcotics operations. Analytics and analysts interpret the strategy as an ultimatum. Hey, Venezuela, you either negotiate seriously or you will face the force of the U.S. 7:12 right now, and we have a temperature of 37 degrees. Light rain this morning, maybe a flurry. Breaks of sun this afternoon. Highs mid to upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. Don't go away.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
A very good morning. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It is a Wednesday already, midweek hump day. We're getting, excuse me, my collar looks kind of funky. Trying to fix that for you so it doesn't look weird because I'm going to feel like it's weird. Uh, anyway, meteorologist Mike Favetta is going to give you the Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
Oh, there you go.
Ken,
Now,
see?
Mike, I
You
can't
look
get
all
this darn
spiffy now, right? Ready to go.
I don't know. It looks kind of weird. This shirt will be dispatched with when the show is over. Sorry. Does that sound
Ken,
vicious?
this is
Right now,
real
the
money
shirt's
now. We
mother.
have sponsors. This is so we can buy like the
That's
new
true.
collared shirts, the fancy things, right?
I still
Next up
buy
is
from
wardrobe. We gotta
Amazon.
have to get wardrobe sponsored.
We'll do that. We'll work on that right
Okay.
now. Let me just, hey, assistant, get what? Look, notice I'm talking to the wrong side. Get us wardrobe sponsors. Done. It's all done.
Well,
So
the AI
it's kind
is
of,
omnipotent. Can pick you up anywhere.
exactly. So we're looking damp and rainy and
Hmm.
chilly and just not a beautiful morning
No.
out.
No, even Rocco stood at the door when I let him out and was like, I don't know. I don't really have to go that bad. I think I'll just stay inside. It's kind of not
I love
pretty.
it.
It's not pleasant, right? You've got the puddles, you've got the wet grass, the wet leaves. Got to be careful of those, especially driving around this morning. And look at the downpours that's happening. Thank you, Pam, for getting rid of the name. Important stuff to show. All of this red and yellow. These are the downpours working their way right now through Route 78, Route 22, headed through Elizabeth and over there towards Staten Island. This is the wet weather that will be present throughout the next probably hour, hour and a half. I think it wraps up by 10 a.m. You can see most of it here kind of highlighted there right along the Watnong mountain range. They're going across the Watchung mountain range. Excuse me, Watnong is in Morris County. Watchung mountain range right there along Somerset and Union County, while the rest of the rain is headed along down toward the shore. There are a few flakes and flurries mixed in on the northern fringes right there through Sussex County, right through Warren County and the northwestern corner of Morris County, but even down toward the Philly suburbs right now, toward Camden, Glassboro, Hainesport, Willingboro, Mansfield, even by Cherry Hill. You have all of this wet weather there by Medford that will start off the day with. The showers that are around in the extreme southern part of New Jersey are also mixed with some warmer weather. So it's a little bit of a milder feel. That's where the warm front is setting up and allowing for the rest of the state to see the rain. As far as high temperatures today, we're probably not leaving the 40s. It's going to be another chilly feeling with the wind chill right now in the 40s. We're back down into the 30s tonight where you see those shades of blue and then the light blue. That's the 20s by tomorrow morning. Another very cold morning ahead for tomorrow morning. And then Friday morning, also chilly. No 20s showing up, but there's just enough of cloud cover to make it feel even cooler to finish out the day. So all this weather came from the Midwest. It was positioned across Illinois and Ohio yesterday, and now it's moving quickly eastward, racing out to sea. So I think we'll be back with the clouds and breaks of sun as soon as the late morning into the early afternoon. This weekend might see a few sprinkles on Saturday, but a little bit of a warming trend up to 52 degrees by Sunday, Ken. So we're trying to get back to average before I think it cools off again for next week. We'll take a look at the holiday week forecast and the 7-day that's coming up.
That's impossible. It can't be already time for holiday week because I'm not ready. So we got to
I
wait at
saw an
least another two,
Instagram
three
post,
weeks.
one of the big, Thanksgiving companies, they were saying how this is the week to buy your frozen turkey because you have to defrost it in the
Uh-huh.
fridge in the next few days. So I can't wait to see your special with Chef Jesse coming up. That'll be in the next few days, right? It'll be get some really good
Yes.
holiday tips.
We got a whole bunch of stuff together. Jesse and I and our photographer Sean Thrunk, we got together yesterday for hours, and Jesse made a standing rib pork roast
Wow.
with some a string bean casserole that was his aunt's recipe, and I made you remember Lori Stokes from Channel 7?
Of
She
course.
used to make the best darn stuffing I have ever tasted in my life, and I have emulated that recipe. She gave me most of the ingredients, but kept a few for the secret. But I emulate, and I don't blame her. I emulate it. I call it the homage to Laurie Stokes stuffing, and Everything just worked out perfectly yesterday. So you'll see.
Wow.
We'll have it. We'll have it all
can't
next
wait.
week. We'll have little bits and pieces. So thank you very much for pointing that out. Yes, I think Chef Jesse posted it on his website already. Little bits of it. So that'll be fun. All right. Thank you, sir. We'll check back. 37 chilly degrees right now throughout the state. Actually, up and down the state of New Jersey, locked in at 37. Some areas. In the mountainous areas, you'll see some snow flurries, as Mike was mentioning, but otherwise it's light rain. In terms of traffic, look at this. This is Route 676 by Camden on the Philadelphia border, right as you get toward Philadelphia. You see that right there. This is a crash on 676 northbound as you're coming out of Camden or coming out of Philly into New Jersey. Exit 1, Collings Avenue, one right lane of the 3 lanes and the ramp lane and right shoulder all blocked, and that's causing a lot of delays for the morning rush through there in Camden. We now have a crash reported, New Jersey Turnpike on the inner roadway, and this is southbound south of Interchange 8, Route 33, East Windsor Township. The left lane is blocked there. And we have a crash and vehicle fire and a vehicle off the roadway on the Garden State Express lanes, southbound north of exit 120, Lawrence Harbor in Old Bridge Township. The left shoulder is blocked. We're having issues. It's the traffic organization that is part of the state. They have all of their cameras down right now on the Garden State, so we can't show you those images. But that's a big deal right now, and that's causing several miles of delays on the Garden State. We have a traffic signal down Route 124 eastbound at Springfield Ave in Springfield Township. The right lane is closed. Delays on I-80 westbound from exit 61 River Road in Elmwood Park to exit 58 Madison Ave in Patterson. All lanes open, but that's a good 3.5, 4 mile delay right there. Approaches to the Hudson River right now, Lincoln is still 25 to 30. Holland is only 15 to 20, and the GWB is actually moving, but moving slowly. It's going to cost you 25 to 30, but that's not bad, especially compared to yesterday at this time when it was not moving at all. 722, the EPA and Army Corps unveiled a proposal to redefine waters of the United States to reduce federal regulatory reach. Under the proposal, only relatively permanent bodies of water like rivers, lakes, and oceans and wetlands directly connected to them would be federally regulated. Let me explain. If you owned a big piece of property in Texas and you had a heavy storm and all of a sudden you had a little pond that formed in the middle of your plot of land, the liberals decided, and this is in Washington, that they would regulate that pond. That if your animals went over and drank from that pond, you would be fined. Yeah, you heard me right, because the federal government had this attitude that every drop of rain that came from heaven that landed on any piece of soil, whether it's private property or not in this country, was the property of the federal government, and they could tax you. Can you imagine? For years, people that own farms, small farms, big pieces of land have had to deal with this. You've had people in the South who would take runoff water from their roofs and fill a cistern. People who were out in rural areas, not close to water supplies, whatever, they would fill cisterns to drink. Oh, can't do that. They would get fined. This is the obscenity of liberals in the federal government. Well, now that would stop. That is tyranny, and that would stop. This law would finally roll back the tyrannical controls the federal government has imposed over every drop of water falling from the sky. People with ponds in their yards being fined. Come on. Come on. This provides clarity, it reduces red tape, and lowers compliance costs. At a McDonald's Impact Summit, President Trump said the administration is lowering prices and restoring a normal level of inflation. He praised McDonald's for reintroducing, did you know this was coming back? $5 and $8 value meals as a symbol of economic recovery and affordability. For those in the New Jersey area who say, wow, I don't see prices coming down. If you get out of the New Jersey area, prices have come down a lot. You go down to Florida, you'll see parts of Florida, prices have really come down. The South, it's just urban areas like New Jersey, New York, where the taxes are through the roof. You're not really noticing it much now, but the prices have started to drop. Gas prices are down like by 40%. Trump also floated ideas like $2,000 rebate checks funded by tariffs, 50-year mortgages too, to ease financial pressure. He framed his economic message around supporting small businesses and ordinary Americans in the face of inflationary concerns. Inflation, by the way, is less than half what it was under Biden a year ago. U.S. officials are cautioning American borrowers to avoid taking loans from major Chinese state-controlled banks because of the geopolitical risk. The concern is that such lending exposes companies and the U.S. economy to undue influences from China. The Trump administration has revived a legal challenge against sanctuary city immigration policies in Newark, Jersey City, Hoboken, and Patterson. Officials argue the policies in these cities improperly restrict cooperation with ICE and afford sanctuary to criminal illegal aliens. The cities say they are following New Jersey's 2018 Immigrant Trust Directive, which limits law enforcement's cooperation with federal immigration agents. But the question is whether that state directive is in fact in violation of federal law, which would supersede it under the Constitution's Supremacy Clause. There is a legal clash over how strictly detainer rules should be interpreted, especially when ICE uses administrative warrants. Things got violent on the streets of Charlotte last night. Hundreds took to the streets protesting federal agents removing illegal aliens from that city. And if you ever wondered how many illegals live in America's sanctuary cities, check this out. Charlotte's anti-ICE protesters have been warning illegals to stay indoors, don't go to school after being rounded up and deported. Just yesterday, Charlotte schools saw a 15% drop in attendance. That's nearly 21,000 students, suggesting that those students are illegals or the children of illegals. 21,000. That is a huge number of illegals, 15% of that school district, which is the 16th largest in the nation. A 5-alarm fire broke out in Roselle, damaging at least 3 homes on East 9th Avenue. A firefighter had to be hospitalized with smoke inhalation. No other injuries reported. The American Red Cross is trying to find places for people to stay right now because they can't in that damaged building. Police say this man we're about to show you attacked a woman from behind as she was pushing a toddler in a stroller in Howell. They say that he put her in a chokehold and threw her to the ground. The toddler was not harmed in the incident. The suspect, 5'8", wearing a gray hoodie with light-colored stripes, dark pants, and white sneakers. Investigators say they have a dash cam image, which you see right there, to help with the investigation. And what happens when Democrats are in control of public transportation and construction projects? Expect the cost to spike and the construction timetable to inflate. That's the case with Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, the bridge that was hit by that out-of-control container ship Dali last year, collapsing it to the Patapsco River. Maryland officials initially said it would take 3 years and $2.5 billion to fix. Well, now they've said it's going to be more than double that, $5.2 billion, and it won't get done until 2030, over 6 years since the collapse. In comparison, the Governor Mario M. Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge, which is double the size and length of the replacement Key Bridge, was completed in just 4.5 years for $3.5 billion. Just government waste in example. 727, the phone lines are open, 888-658-0234. Light rain, maybe a snow flurry this morning, breaks of sun this afternoon, highs mid to upper 40s. The full Garden State forecast when we return. You're watching ONNJ Mornings, seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News on Samsung TV Plus, and 10 other platforms. We're coming right back. A very good morning. It is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. On New Jersey Mornings, welcome back at 7:30, 37 degrees. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has a damp Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So we have light rain this morning. We're going to have a break of sun this afternoon, though, so that's not too bad.
Not terrible. The rain, though, this morning, not ideal. It's kind of when most people check their phone now for the forecast. They just ask Siri or Google or Alexa what the weather's going to be. And I'm sure they heard the chance of rain in the morning and are like, I'll take my chances. But if you were watching on New Jersey and if you were looking at the forecast yesterday, you knew it was going to be wet this morning. And there's even a few lightning strikes. See, here's what the AI and the Google and Siri and the Alexa doesn't do. Show you the live lightning strike right there off the coast of New Jersey, right there. There it is, as these showers and storms are moving to the east. So some heavy downpours coming across some parts of the state, allowing for some wet weather down the shore from Cape May toward Avalon, even Sea Isle City and up toward Ocean City. All of this wet weather now moving to the east, but at a good clip. If you're driving right now or working up the Parkway or the Turnpike through Newark, right by Newark Airport, through Elizabeth, 13A up through exit 14, these are the heavy downpours happening right now. Even some shades of blue and pink showing the snow that's mixing in across portions of Route 80. A little further down the shore toward Point Pleasant and Spring Lake, some of those light showers moving east. Not a significant amount of rain where you see the light shades of blue there in that area. However, I'll back it up and you can see that the shade of green that was showing up across some parts of the state show, it doesn't want to go back, but it showed that most of that weather left about a half inch of rainfall on the ground. So enough rain to make for some big puddles and of course the wet leaves on the road, always a big problem this time of year for traction. The afternoon, highs climb into the low 50s. We're there right now down the shore with that warm front working in, but the 50s are limited to the extreme shore points south in New Jersey. Everywhere else will be in the upper 40s today as a high. That's our high today, 49 degrees. We should be at 54, so still running well below average. And with some of the snowflakes mixing in and the sleet there across the Route 80 right now across Morris and Warren County, all of that wet weather with some ice mixed in at times will depart in the next few hours. By this afternoon, we might get a break of sun in northern New Jersey just before the sun sets, and then through the rest of the evening, we'll see some clearing. So plan on clouds for the rest of the day, and that's typically what a northeasterly breeze brings. With some more sunshine on the way for tomorrow, I think it's a clearer day, especially for the northern half of the state. Southern New Jersey stays socked in with the clouds, but you also get the treat of seeing the 50s on Friday morning, where everybody else is freezing around the freezing mark. By Friday evening, another round of wet weather moves in south of 195 and then skips out to sea. So yes, a little bit of wet weather with some rogue snowflakes mixed in this morning. Clouds for the rest of the day. A little bit of sunshine tomorrow, northern half of New Jersey, but the shore points stay cloudy. And then another round of rain for Friday night. Clearing, however, by Saturday morning. So we start off the weekend dry. Looks beautiful throughout the day on Sunday. Nice high pressure and control, keeping the clouds clear to start off the weekend, at least on a dry note, and finish on a dry note as well. So these early morning showers are really pre-dawn, but the rest of the day is nice and dry. Temperatures will warm into the low 50s and stay there going into Monday and Tuesday. Still below average, but we'll take it given how cold it's been to start off the holiday week on a little bit of a milder trend. Will feel quite nice. The shore points, you're socked in with more clouds, but also have slightly milder temperatures by a few degrees. Might hit 60 at times later on in the weekend into early next week, with dry weather returning into Monday and Tuesday. So big travel days ahead, Ken, and I think we're looking good, at least around New Jersey, to start off next week.
Very good. I'm going crazy here. We're looking at all our traffic cameras. The main routes, Garden State Parkway and the New Jersey Turnpike traffic cameras, the ones we need, and we have all the accidents on. Only like 1 in 6 are working right now for some reason. So maybe it's that cloud flare thing coming back at us. Who knows? All right, Mike, we'll check out what you're talking about here in terms of that weather's, yeah, definitely damp and dreary. And had people paid attention to your forecast yesterday, they would have known about that lightning strike out in the water because you warned us. But people are like,
the 6 fish that were impacted. Very, 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 because they get Wi-Fi out there,
and they're electric eels. So,
Oh,
they
of
know
course.
about this stuff.
Yes.
I mean, how else could they be? All right, Mike, thank you, sir. 37 degrees up and down the state right now. It has not budged in an hour, we should mention. And in terms of traffic, we have still a problem down on 676 northbound. That is exit 1, Collings Avenue in Camden. The right lane of the 3 lanes is closed right now, the ramp lane, right shoulder as well. You can see how they changed our camera shot a little bit, but that just gives you an idea of what's going on. Again, this is Camden coming from Philadelphia into New Jersey, and that's what you got right there. Now, we mentioned all these issues we're having on what's it called? The Garden State. Well, this is bad when I don't have my coffee. The Garden State Parkway. Let's go down the list. So if you're ready, disabled vehicle on the Garden State northbound entering at 135 Central Ave in Clark, and that has one lane closed right now. We have a problem now on the Garden State northbound south of exit 100A, Route 33 East in Tinton Falls. Left lane is blocked there. And we also have a crash and a vehicle fire. Vehicle off the roadway, Garden State Express lane, southbound north of exit 120, Lawrence Harbor and Old Bridge, left shoulder blocked there. Traffic signal down on Route 124 eastbound Springfield Ave in Springfield Township with the right lane of the 2 lanes blocked on that. And we have a crash now reported just now at Route 21 northbound by Wright Street in Newark, the left lane of the 3 lanes closed. There's a lot going on. I could go on and on and on. Let's look at the Hudson River approaches. They're actually not as bad, nowhere nearly as bad as yesterday. Right now, the Holland Tunnel rather is talking 25 to 30. The Lincoln is 30 to 35. GWB upper and lower levels as we look. Oh, that lower level is looking ugly. We got to see if something happened because it's not moving like it was. But right now, there's nothing reported, at least. We're told it's 35 minutes in over the GWB, upper or lower. Upper on the right, lower on the left. 737, the Senate approved a House-passed bill that would require the Justice Department to release files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And now it will go to President Trump's desk sometime today to be formally signed. Trump said that he would sign the bill, and that would compel the Justice Department to publicly release the files related to Epstein and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell within 30 days of it being signed into law, with some exceptions for survivors' personal information and other sensitive material. Republican lawmakers denounced the vote as a stunt, pointing out the Democrats were clearly hoping there would be dirt on Trump, but it looks like they will be terribly disappointed. It appears this was a ruse to get Americans off the topic of the government shutdown that impacted so many people. It was all brought on by the Democrats. They figured, let's just have a shiny object over here. Now they'll talk about bad Trump again. And that did not happen. It is 7:38. Reports suggested that in 2013, House Minority Leader Democrat Hakeem Jeffries solicited funding from disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein had already become a convicted child predator. One of the latest batches of files released to Jeffrey Epstein revealed there was a solicitation for funding sent from a firm that was representing Jeffries that was sent to the sex predator. In the email sent from the firm to Epstein, it reads, quote, "We are thrilled to announce that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars in the New York congressional delegation, sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack. He is a staunch supporter of President Obama and a progressive voice for the people of New York City." How'd that work out? President Trump held a friendly meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House yesterday. He praised the prince for his statesmanship and announced $1 trillion in new Saudi investment in the U.S. The White House rolled out plenty of pomp for the royal from Saudi Arabia, dispatching fighter jets for the two to watch. Trump formally announced a deal to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia, and the Saudis have said they would join the Abraham Accords, but only after there is a credible and guaranteed path to Palestinian statehood, something the president has suggested may be a possibility. But $1 trillion in new U.S. investment, unreal. Total of about $10 trillion so far that the president has gotten us in only 10 months. 7:39, Mikey Sherrill has resigned from Congress. The governor-elect of New Jersey formally submitted her congressional resignation to House Speaker Mike Johnson and Governor Murphy. Sherrill wrote in a social media post that she was very proud to serve New Jersey's 11th. Sherrill was elected as New Jersey's newest governor earlier in the month, and there will now be a special election to replace her. 7:39, there are long-standing environmental legal issues in Newark involving industrial contamination. At one formerly industrial site, soil and water are allegedly polluted by PCBs, benzene, arsenic, lead, and other bad stuff. State agencies filed enforcement actions to force cleanup. Some of the companies accused of pollution include those linked to metal refining, waste haulers, and paint manufacturers. Leaders in media, business, and civic life testified before state lawmakers about how spending cuts would impact New Jersey PBS by July due to spending cuts, or funding cuts, I should say. They argued that its loss would hurt low-income families, reduce access to news, and worsen political polarization. New Jersey PBS's state funding was cut from $1 million to $250,000 in the latest budget, and also lost over $1.5 million in federal support. Advocates called for a better funding model combining public and corporate support. 740, New Jersey's internet casino revenue hit a record $213.6 million in October. That made iGaming the leading contributor to the state's overall gambling revenue for that month, surpassing physical casinos like those in Atlantic City. iGaming wins from online slots and table games jumped 28.5% year over year, though online poker saw a slight decline. And a new study using U.S. Census Bureau data ranks New Jersey as the seventh most educated state in the U.S. for adults. 41% of New Jersey adults have a bachelor's degree or higher, well above the national average. See, it all starts when they're young, though, in little school. Well above the national average. 16% of the adult population here holds a graduate or professional degree. That is the sixth highest share nationally. Pretty darn good. Smart folks here in Jersey. Lots of great schools. And that's the nice thing. You don't just need the big universities like Rutgers or Princeton. You also have really good regional colleges and universities that make New Jersey proud. Very good. 742 right now. We have a temperature of 37 degrees. And when we come back, he is a Republican running for Congress in New Jersey's 9th Congressional District. His name is Billy Prempa. He will join us to talk about the reopening of the federal government, why it shut down in the first place, too. He's also going to talk about what happened with Epstein and the whole Epstein case and what it means now that we will have the files released. So you're going to want to hear what Billy Prempa has to say. Light rain, maybe a flurry this morning, then breaks of sun this afternoon. Highs in the mid to upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast. Also, we will take your calls. We want to hear what you have to say. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday morning. Don't go away. We're coming back in 2 minutes.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:45, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the damp Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
Well, hear this. It's raining. Good morning, meteorologist Mike
It is
Favetta.
raining. Yes, you could visibly see it on my rain. Well, turned into a raincoat, even though it's my blazer. I had to run outside to grab a package, and the big raindrops pouring down. So I should take my own advice and bring the umbrella. I think that would be wise. But with all of the don't do like the weatherman. You got to bring the umbrella today. Even some rain and snowflakes mixed in there toward Wayne. Some snow reported as well earlier this morning up in West Milford. First time we're seeing that all year on the forecast map. So yeah. Winter is around the corner, and with our transition season having the rain mix with the snow, at least through the middle of next month, we'll start to see a little bit of a warm up down south here in New Jersey. We should stay quite average, even going into the first or the last few days of November, have a slightly higher chance of rainfall. But this is wet weather that we could use since we're still technically in a drought across most of northwestern New Jersey. Some of the light rain that lingers throughout the day to this morning will end by this afternoon, bringing back sunshine tomorrow, but just a chill lingers even through Friday. The rain you see on the board for Saturday, that's primarily in the early morning pre-dawn hours. Most of the day Saturday is dry, especially after the sun rises, and stays dry throughout the day on Sunday. So we have a pretty decent weekend ahead. Monday and Tuesday seeing the clearing continue. The shore points have more clouds, but also a few more degrees. Each and every day we could warm up to near 60 by Saturday. You have a better chance of rain Friday night into Saturday. And then Sunday clears with Monday and Tuesday looking beautiful. So clear sky heading into Thanksgiving week. We'll get all the clouds and showers out of the way for now, and it looks good heading into the holiday weekend.
All right. So there you go. I love the fact that it's holiday weekend already. It just doesn't feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
possible that we should
I know.
or we should have a holiday weekend. Are you set for the holidays
We
or
have a
for at least this
list.
holiday?
Have not gone shopping because we're hosting 15 family members on Thursday.
God.
So we got 8 days to get ready.
Wait till you see Chef Jesse, for those who didn't follow, Chef Jesse, who's been on this broadcast a few times, he's like a master chef. Yesterday I was with him, and instead of making a turkey, and we videotaped this for next week, he made a pork rib roast. Now, and he knows how to make pork. You know, everyone always cooks pork till it's like you touch it and it's dust.
Yes,
You can eat
thank you.
pork at 135, 140 degrees when it's a little pink, and you think, ew, it's raw. That tastes fun. No, no, my mouth is salivating right now. He cut these chops from the rib roast. They were this thick.
Yeah,
The flavor was insane, and it was moister than a medium rare steak. That's how moist this pork roast was,
that's amazing.
with the string bean casserole and the stuffing that I like to say I made myself. It was insane. I'm sorry, Mike. I keep like producing food stuff and not bringing it to you. We will figure this out, I promise.
We'll make it happen.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll check back. It is 37 degrees right now, up and down the state of New Jersey. And in terms of traffic, we have still that issue on 676, although it might be getting a little better now. This is 676 from the Philadelphia-Camden border. Yes, it definitely looks like they got some of the vehicles out of there. Still have some emergency lights. This is 676 northbound exit 1, Collins Avenue, Camden. The right shoulder still closed, but they opened up the right 2 lanes at least. So that's a good bit of news. We have a crash on Route 21 northbound by Wright Street in Newark. The left lane of the 3 lanes closed there. And we have a crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway southbound south of Interchange 8, Route 33 East Windsor. The right lane is closed. Garden State Parkway has a disabled northbound entering at 135 Central Ave in Clark with that 1 lane blocked. Also on the Garden State northbound, there's a crash just south of 100A, Route 33 East in Tinton Falls. And another issue on the Garden State, a vehicle fire and crash, vehicle off the roadway on the Garden State Express lane, southbound north of exit 120 in Lawrence Harbor in Old Bridge Township. Now we have an issue with a traffic signal down Route 124 eastbound at Springfield Ave in Springfield Township, the right lane closed. Just a mess on the roadways. And many of our traffic cams are out because of the weather. That's why we're not cutting to them. Our approaches to the Hudson River right now, the Holland Tunnel, it's a good deal. It's 20 to 25. It's 25 to 30 at the Lincoln. And the GWB is heavy, but moving. You can see upper on the right, lower on the left, and it'll cost you about 30 minutes in. 7:50. He is a Republican running for Congress in New Jersey's 9th Congressional District. Billy Prempa is here to talk about the release of the Epstein files, the fact that Hakeem Jeffries solicited Epstein for donations after the guy was a convicted child predator, how foreign governments have pledged trillions in investments to the U.S., and how the Trump administration is once again going after New Jersey's sanctuary cities. There's a lot on the agenda here. Good morning to you, Billy.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I only gave you a few things to talk about here. So we have both houses voting to release the Epstein files. Of course, the Democrats were trying to flash the shiny object over here to get people off the narrative of the fact that they destroyed the economy and the government and everything with shutting down the government, all for a political vendetta. Now that it's reopened, they tried to change the subject, hoping that Trump would be mixed up with this, but it looks like ain't nothing Trump on that list.
Well, yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm just happy to finally see the Epstein files getting released. It's something that I've wanted to see since even 2020. And I think that there's Republicans and Democrats both on both sides of the aisle that have their reasons as to why they don't want it to be released. But regardless of that, the American people deserve some transparency. The victims of Epstein deserve transparency. But I think it's very shocking what we saw happening with Hakeem Jeffries, not just soliciting donations, but there's also been a revelation that the congresswoman from the Virgin Islands, Plaskett herself, is also receiving messages from Jeffrey Epstein in the middle of a hearing with Trump's lawyer. And the issue that I have with that is I can only see how deep it goes. I think we're going to find out some more revelations. And I think that whoever was doing anything illegal, they should be held accountable and brought to justice.
And the amazing thing, Billy, is they kept referring, the Democrats, kept referring to Epstein as my constituent, a constituent. What a constituent? A criminal. He was a convicted sexual child predator at that point. And they're saying, my constituent is texting me. I don't know about you. I don't text. Do you text the current congresswoman from your district while she's in the middle of a vote? I don't. And I've been on the networks for 35, 40 years. I don't have direct access to my congress people in the middle of a vote. So clearly there was a little, as they say in Italian, a little scarol passing through here. I don't want to make any accusations against the congresswoman from the Virgin Islands, but why did Epstein have her on speed dial, and why was he able to directly control what she was asking at that time? It's clearly horrible, and yet Congress did not vote to censure her. Why? Why are the Republicans so afraid to condemn Democrats doing things like this?
Because this is the truth that I don't think a lot of people want to hear. I think that there are some Republicans that have gotten involved with Jeffrey Epstein and they're trying to cover their own tail. I think Democrats, Republicans, and people across the aisle have some kind of tie with Jeffrey Epstein, and it needs to all be brought into life. Why was the Congresswoman Plaskett texting him? I wish I had that kind of convenience to reach out to my congressperson. But him living in the Virgin Islands, I think that she's someone we need to definitely look into, considering that that's where Jeffrey Epstein was also from. I'm pretty sure that the rabbit hole goes much deeper, and we already see smoke. So there's definitely got to be a fire somewhere.
So what do they say about donors, the mother's milk of politicians in Congress? So you see somebody worth hundreds of millions of dollars like Epstein. By the way, no one really knows how he got hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm sure that's going to be part of this. I mean, was he a double agent? Was he getting paid from our government and from the Mossad? There's all these little conspiracy theories floating out there. It might just be he inherited a lot of money. Who knows? But we got to get to the bottom of this, because this is stinking to high heaven. President Trump, speaking of a lot of money, President Trump has gotten at least $10 trillion in U.S. investment pledges from a bunch of foreign leaders. Most recently, yesterday, the Saudi prince pledging $1 trillion in U.S. investment. The same guy, by the way, who would not talk to Biden. When Biden would call, he wouldn't return his phone calls, and Biden had nasty things to say about him. But yet, this has gotten no coverage from legacy media. This would have been front page at any time in the past, but because it's Orange Man bad, zero, crickets from mainstream media.
Listen, I've already grown to not get a lot of opinions from the mainstream media. I could care less whether they report it or not. I'm very happy that we actually do have some investment happening here in the United States. I think that this is going to lead to more jobs. It's going to be, I mean, lead to more jobs, more investments, and it's going to lead to an infrastructure that needs to desperately be repaired. I'm looking forward to seeing what President Trump is going to do with other countries and what other investments we're going to be taking on into our country. But I think also the more important question I want to know is what's in it for the deal for Saudi Arabia and for the other countries. I know investing is one thing, but what do they want in return? And if it's a balanced deal and it works out for the United States, I would love for a lot more to happen.
It would be nice to see, along with that, if they sign on to the Abraham Accords, and then we finally get some action of peace, legitimate long-term peace in the Middle East, because how Saudi Arabia goes, the rest of 2 billion Muslims on this planet will go. They lead it. They are the Mecca, so to say, because Mecca is there. So it would be nice to see if we could start that process. And then the Trump administration has sued New Jersey's sanctuary cities, says it will move forward with plans to cut federal funding to cities pursuing sanctuary status like Newark, Jersey City, Hoboken, and you happen to know the city of Patterson. And that could cost these cities millions of dollars in federal revenues. At the same time, illegals are draining the cities of state and local resources. So how long can these cities keep it up, and when will voters finally say enough? We have debts up to here. We can't afford to pay $100 million toward illegals coming into our cities.
See, and that's the thing that's frustrating is because the constituents that some of these elected officials claim to represent, they don't listen to them when it comes to things like this. Crime has gone up. Housing has gotten more expensive. It's difficult for people to even find parking here in the city of Patterson. A lot of people I see on the road, I know for a fact, are not supposed to be here or definitely shouldn't be parking on this block. But these are issues that people are facing all across the state. And the fact that several cities are standing up to prevent the federal government from doing their job, this is literally what we voted for. Americans should be put first. It should be Americans only. If you want to come into the country legally, by all means, but you got to do it the right way. I think that President Trump needs to ramp up these deportations, and for everyone that's in the way, trying to prevent this, I think that the American voters should vote these people out, especially here in the city of Patterson. Elections are coming up right around the corner in May, so I hope people choose wisely and get a better mayor because I'm not voting for this guy.
There you go. How can they support you, Billy? What's your website?
Visit my website, www.billyprempeh.com, and follow me on social media to stay in the loop.
We got to get this guy elected. Republican running for Congress in New Jersey's 9th congressional district in next year's midterm elections. Get that name, Billy Prempeh, Prempeh. Thank you for coming on as always, Billy. We appreciate you.
Anytime, Ken. Take care.
You got it. Thank you. It is 7:58, and when we come back, it may look like candy, but it is far from safe. THC-laced sweets landing kids in the emergency room. And we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Be right back. It's 8 a.m., Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
All right, Mike. So it's definitely dank out there. I love that word, dank. So what's
Yes.
going on, and when's it going to undank?
It'll undank by this afternoon. May redank by Friday morning. Got to use all of the conjunctions here as we head into the next few days. With yes, some very wet weather around this morning. You see that bright stripe of red and orange there, not necessarily depicting intensity. So here's a little meteorology lesson for you at 8:01 in the morning. Love when I get to do this. The radar shows reflectivity. So the brighter the object in terms of sound waves or energy in this case, the higher the reflectivity, meaning the shade of red and orange, which is usually what you'd note as like a thunderstorm. In this case, because wet and rain-coated ice particles in the clouds, such as sleet or snow, reflect a lot more energy than a raindrop, it's actually showing up here as that brighter shade. So some ice might be within those clouds, some sleet pellets, some snowflakes, and the radar algorithm isn't quite picking that up. It is right on the border there of Route 80, where you see the shade of blue and pink kind of give way to the shade of green, but a lot of this wet weather may be coming down as some frozen rain or some snowflakes mixed in with the rain, showing as a much higher reflectivity. It's also fooling the algorithm, thinking that 1.5 inches of rain fell across Route 78. Probably not the case, as some of that wet snow mixed in kind of fools the algorithm into thinking that it's heavy rain. So through the rest of the day, we have mostly sunny skies throughout this afternoon across the northern part of the state, but it takes a while for those clouds to clear. Until we get there, it's going to be a little breezy and a little chilly, and yes, a little cloudy. It's much warmer down the shore, 15 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, thanks to that warm front moving in. And the rain that came in last night, just after midnight, giving way to some of those showers right now, but they're exiting quickly and probably see the last of the wet weather gone by around 10 or 11 a.m. As far as the remainder of the day, breezy down the shore where the storm center is. However, in the northern part of the state, we see a little bit of clearing through this afternoon, and winds turn lighter going into tomorrow. The futurecast shows a little bit of clearing as well. As the last of the showers exit, we'll probably get a few breaks of clear sky as the sun sets this evening. Should make for a pretty sunset if you find yourself in the northeastern corner of the state. However, down the shore, south of Monmouth County, you're staying cloudy all throughout tonight, and even for most of the day tomorrow, especially with a little bit of a breeze coming in off of the water at times. Friday has another round of rain for the southern half of New Jersey to start. The rest of the state picks it up with a little bit of wet weather later Friday night, but it all clears out by Saturday, and we look beautiful for Saturday afternoon with a nice sunny finish to the day. Even though there's a little bit of rain to start the weekend, it clears out quickly. We'll tell you more about the rest of the week's weather and the upcoming holiday week with the 7-day forecast, Ken. That's in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. 37 degrees still up and down the state. It has been steady all morning long at 37 degrees, and that's why in the upper elevations, the higher elevations, we've had a few snow flurries. Otherwise, it's just been light rain and drizzle throughout much of the state at this hour. As Mike said, it'll kind of dry a little bit later in the day. In terms of traffic right now, we go back to 676. This is down by Camden exit 1. You can still see, they're just the shoulder. We're down to like a car or two on the shoulder. There were emergency vehicles there just 5 minutes ago. So it looks like that problem has been cleared up. Yep. And as we speak, they have literally popped it off of the list of accidents. So there you have it. So that's a good deal coming in from Philadelphia to New Jersey. Now, on the Garden State Parkway, where we do not have traffic cameras, they're out for some reason today. We have a number of accidents right now. Disabled vehicle on the Garden State northbound entering at 135 Central Ave and Clarkley Lane is blocked there. One lane, I should say. We have a crash on the Garden State northbound south of exit 100A, Route 33 east in Tinton Falls with a left lane blocked, and a crash and vehicle fire and vehicle off the roadway, Garden State Express lanes southbound, north of exit 120, Lawrence Harbor in Old Bridge. The left shoulder is blocked there. We have a traffic signal down on Route 124 eastbound Springfield Ave in Springfield Township. The right lane is closed, and we have delays on the New Jersey Turnpike now. Hudson County Extension westbound entering at interchange 14A, Route 440. That's by the Bayonne Bridge, all due to volume. It's about a 2-mile backup at that point. Your approaches to the Hudson River, Holland Tunnel is going to give you 25 to 30 in. The Lincoln is 30 to 35 now. GWB upper and lower heavy, but moving, crawling, but moving nonetheless. Upper on the right, lower on the left. It's going to cost you 35 minutes via the GWB. 8:05 is our time, and there is a troubling trend that's been sending both kids and adults to emergency rooms throughout New Jersey. THC-laced candy packaged to look just like familiar brand name treats, making their way to communities. For those who don't know, THC is the active drug in marijuana, and the consequences to kids getting their hands on this and eating it can be dangerous, especially for younger ones. Dr. Maureen Nemetsky is a pediatric ER specialist. She's with us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Nemetsky.
Good morning.
Good to have you on it. How common are these cases of accidental THC candy ingestion becoming for kids?
They're not super common, but they're still a regular occurrence, especially as more and more of these candies hit the market.
Okay. And do you also see adults, older people? Just is it that you have folks who just think they're opening up M&Ms or something and they pop one in their mouth thinking that it's just a regular candy, not really noticing the label well?
No, for sure. We definitely have people who, someone sees a bag of what looks like gummy bears at the register and they buy it and they don't realize that's cannabis, and they could feed it to their child. And as you know, kids don't eat just one gummy bear. They'll have the whole bag if they can. And that leads to worsening toxicity because it's all dose-based. We also see cases where older relatives or friends, find something on the kitchen counter and they don't realize that this is cannabis, not an Oreo. And they'll have that. And they might be, especially in the older population, might be more vulnerable to the negative side effects.
And again, if they had one, it would just make them really groggy probably. But the idea is they think that it's just regular candy. And I'm assuming that's the bigger problem, right? They think it's just regular candy. So they pop 2, 3, 4 in their mouths thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a handful of gummies. And now they're getting 4 times the recommended dose, which 4 times the recommended dose of any medication could be dangerous, right?
Yeah, so for most cases, it is that they took more than they were supposed to, but in other cases, especially with children, dosing is all weight-based. So kids are smaller. So one cannabis cookie for a child is a lot worse than one cannabis cookie for an adult. So we have had cases where small children have come in with very significant side effects after having only one piece.
Gotcha. And that makes sense. And do you think that it's mostly people who are mistaking in terms of adults, people who are mistaking the product thinking it's the actual candy? Or do you think that just seeing wrapping that looks familiar kind of makes them trust what's in that bag and they think it's innocuous? And what's the difference if I just have a few? If it's in something that seems familiar to me, I'm sure it's okay. Do you think that that's more the
I mean,
case or just some combination of the two?
it's probably a combination of the two and more of the accidental version, because they really do look very much like the candy they're meant to mimic. Maybe there'll be one letter different in the name, but the picture, the logo might look almost identical. There might be a tiny little marijuana leaf on the corner of the package to indicate that it's cannabis, but you're not going to see that when you're just grabbing it quickly. And I think they're packaged that way. The people who are making these cannabis candies and packaging that way, which is, by the way, illegal. There are lots of regulations against that, but the people who are packaging it this way don't care, and they know what they're doing. They want it to look like something that's familiar. They want it to look like something that people think will taste good and will be likely to have. Unfortunately, it sometimes looks too familiar, and someone might take it not intending to have a cannabis edible.
And I have never done drugs. I don't even drink alcohol. I don't smoke. But yet I've heard this story 1,000 times from friends who have tried marijuana edibles, for instance. The first time, unless you are made aware when you try one, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if everybody has this happen. You have one and you assume something's going to happen relatively quickly. But in a lot of cases, these edibles sometimes take time. I had a friend who said, I ate an edible. 30 minutes, I didn't feel anything. So I had like 2 or 3 more. Then I was passed out for hours. Is that the case with a lot of people? They think that it's gonna be instant, like a hit of a joint, and it's not. It's a slower uptake.
That is the case because unlike if you're smoking a joint or taking cannabis a different way. When you have an edible, it has to be digested first before the THC hits you. And that can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And so oftentimes people will have one, they wait a little bit, they don't feel anything, they think, oh, maybe I need some more to feel it, so they'll take more, and then they might take another one, and then it kind of stacks and hits them all at once.
Yeah, I had one friend who told me he literally slept for he was at a wedding. He had a backache
Oh,
and he went
wow.
to a wedding and he chewed on one thinking it would help just kind of calm him down and relieve the pain a little bit or whatever. And he ended up having three, I guess. He said he was at the wedding with his wife. He had to go to a side room. He passed out for the whole wedding. That was it. And they had to help
Wow.
him to the car. Of course, he didn't drive. His wife was driving, but they had to help him to the car, and that was it. He missed the entire wedding. Again, I think people are just not aware if they're not familiar with the effects of edibles. They just think that you eat one and you'll feel it right away. And like you said, you have to digest it first. What happens? What should parents be looking for if they know that they have edibles in the house and they suddenly see their children acting strangely? What should they be looking out for in their kids?
So usually what you'll see is the kids will be a little more lethargic. They won't be, and than usual, they won't be quite their usual selves. Sometimes they might seem like they're not responding to you or can't answer your questions appropriately. In really severe overdoses, they could have some trouble. They could start having like shallow respirations. It's not that they're short of breath, it's just that one of the toxic side effects is sort of depressing your respiratory drive. And in very severe,
Gotcha.
and
And
they
you
might also have some GI symptoms like nausea or vomiting. And in most severe overdoses of lots of different things, some of the severe side effects might include seizures or again, almost being unconscious.
Yeah, too many people I think they cannot OD on this, and you can just like anything. You could OD on sugar. I mean, so you can OD on just about anything. What's your website for more information, doctor?
So you can look up on the Hackensack website, and
Okay,
they'll have a lot of this sort of information on some
I
of
didn't mean to put you
you look,
on the spot on
yeah.
that. All right, so the Hackensack
I-
website, we'll check that out. And I'm sure they can find it. Pediatric ER specialist Dr. Maureen Nemetsky, thank you for coming on this morning. Good advice.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You bet. We're coming right back on New Jersey Mornings.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
A very good morning. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Light rain, maybe a snow flurry this morning. Breaks of sun in the afternoon. Highs in the mid to upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So what are we looking at for the rest of the day, Mr. Favetta?
Well,
If that's your real
like
name.
the snow, if you don't like the snow, you might just want to look away because there was a light accumulation across parts of Morris County this morning. 3 towns, Parsippany, Denville, and Dover, reporting just over 2/10 of an inch of snow. So a little
Very
bit
good.
of a light accumulation there. Yeah, it's just enough snow to make it look pretty around New Jersey this morning, at least in a few neighborhoods up north. But for the rest of the state, that rain is falling, and with that wet weather continuing to move out to sea quickly, we'll likely see the rest of that wet weather gone in the next few hours. Down toward the southwestern corner of New Jersey, already that rain is wrapping up across 295 through Mount Holly and Medford. Even a little further south, it has ended. The wet weather is done. A little further south over toward the Philly suburbs. So with our rain likely continuing for the next 2 or 3 hours, I think we'll see it wrap up quickly. And then the light breezes and just enough of a gusty wind to make it feel like the 30s, thanks to that wind chill. Into tomorrow morning, some of those neighborhoods in the northwest will see temperatures feeling like the 20s. So cold air around to start off your Thursday, with another round of chilly weather ahead for Friday morning, although it'll be in the 30s. So another cool start to the day. There's that rain coming in from last night, moving quickly to the east, some snow mixing in overnight, and now I think we'll see it wrap up quickly as we head into the rest of the morning. Most of the rain is gone from this point forward. Again, it's just tapering off as the clouds take over for the remainder of the day. The weekend's looking drier, a lot drier, in fact. The rain exiting just after dawn on Saturday, leading to a beautiful day for the afternoon on Saturday, and Sunday looks pretty as well. Low 50s as the high. We'll take it heading into Thanksgiving weekend.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, we will indeed take it. Anything like that is good. Thank you very much, sir. In terms of temperature, we have 37 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, and also in Trenton, 36 degrees in Vineland, and we have a temperature of 37 degrees down in Cape May. So it's a little chilly, but seasonal, as they like to say. It is seasonal. That means that's what it's supposed to be, silly. What do you think? It's not the middle of summer. It's the middle of winter. In terms of traffic, let's take a look now. We have, see, we don't have the cameras there. Garden State Parkway. We have a crash now reported, and that is on, let's see, the Garden State Parkway northbound, north of Colonia service area, Woodbridge Township. All lanes are open. Disabled vehicle on the Garden State northbound entering at 135, and that is Central Ave and Clark. The right lane is blocked there. We also have a crash and vehicle fire. Vehicle off the roadway, Garden State Parkway express lane southbound, north of exit 120, and that's in Lawrence. That's in Old Bridge Township, rather, Lawrence Harbor. The left shoulder is blocked through there as a result. So a lot of problems going on. We have a problem on the turnpike now in a roadway. This is southbound north of interchange 14, Route 1 and 9 in Newark. The left lane is blocked. And let's look at the approaches to the, wait, we got something that just popped up you're going to need to know. Missing sewer grate on 1 and 9, Tunnelly Avenue southbound, south of Fairview Avenue in Fairview. The right lane of 2 lanes closed. That is bad. Missing sewer grate. They're going to have to close that lane down. Now we take a look at the Hudson River approaches, the approach now to the Holland Tunnel. That's going to be impacted by that Tunnelly Avenue that I just told you about. Over at the Lincoln Tunnel, it's 30 to 35 across. GWB upper and lower is heavy but moving. We have the upper level on the right, lower level on the left, and we're told right now it's 35 to 40, making your way into Manhattan. It is 8:19. There is a New Jersey author whose debut legal thriller is making major waves in the literary world. The Manipulator, the first novel by attorney and novelist Dan Bozetta, has earned quite the critical acclaim. It is the first in a series of works centered on the rising star at a powerful law firm whose dream opportunity pulls him into a deadly web of corruption. And we say good morning to author and attorney Dan Bozetta.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good. You bet. I'm reflecting back to my days taking Italian, studying Italian. We say Buzzetta, right? For the do I sound like your relatives, right? Buzzetta.
You do,
Dan,
indeed.
from a Rosato. There you go. What was it like having your work welcomed by the people in the community as it was?
It was really a dream come true. This project took me 30 years for the book to come into existence. I actually started writing the first three chapters when I was still in law school 30 years ago. But the book sat for all that time after that first summer of law school because life took over, right? Started a practice, started a family, raised children, and never got back to writing until the pandemic in 2020. And so it was a labor of love. It took, when I started back in 2020, it took a little over a year for me to finally finish the book. And then, of course, finding an agent and a publisher. And so when it finally was released in August of 2020, it was a dream come true and a long time in coming.
So it was sort of like a dormant seed that just laid there and you kept looking at it. It was nagging at you thinking, I got to do this. Good for you for finally taking the time for yourself with you helping everybody else raising that beautiful family. I'm sure you have, and putting priorities in place. So you did it the right way.
Yeah,
So
and
what
I'm glad I
inspired?
did.
Go ahead.
I'm glad I did because over those 30 years as a practicing attorney, gained a lot of experience, obviously worked on cases, and some of those cases, some of those factual details make their way into the book.
Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Um, so
That's right.
what originally inspired you to make that leap from legal work to legal fiction while you were in law school? Um, I mean, was any of this based on your own desires or placing yourself into that character? How did that come about?
So I've always been fascinated first with organized crime from an academic standpoint, and I always thought it would make obviously there's a lot of work and a lot of stories about organized crime. I also had a passion for the law and justice and the rule of law, and so I thought combining those two passions, those two interests that I have into a fictional story, and creating a character, a lead character that is righteous and believes in the rule of law and in justice and has decisions to make along the way and choices to make, but at the end decides that the rule of law is paramount. I wanted to explore that in a story, and that's what I did in The Manipulator.
So it's sort of like the character is Superman and injustice is kryptonite. Does the character get sort of lured to the dark side at all, and then fights it? Is that sort of how the character is presented?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He faces some moral dilemmas, some ethical choices. Does he protect family or does he protect the rule of law? He's blackmailed along the way. And instead of being selfish and protecting his own interests, he does what is the right thing, right? And protects the rule of law. And so at the end, you do have a champion. You do have a Superman in the guise of a lawyer.
Very good. Did you always know where the story would end, or did the plot sort of evolve then, as you're saying, as you had your own legal experiences? Did it sort of evolve in your head as you went along?
So the middle part of the book definitely evolved. I knew how it was going to begin, and I knew how it was going to end. I always do when I sit down to write a book. The middle part is always a work in progress, and it evolved. It changed over time. Experiences that I had came into play, and so that was the fun part, right? Creating the process and the story as I was writing it. That was really enjoyable.
Nice. Now, you juggle a lot in real life. You're an attorney, as you mentioned, and you're also an elected official. You're on the Colts Neck Township Committee, right? You're a volunteer firefighter because you didn't have enough on your plate. You're a father, and now a novelist. So, how did you find the time to write the novel? Did you have to like make an appointment for yourself in your schedule and say, I'm going to do this every day from 2 to 4? How do you do that?
Yeah, I also have to say that I'm a husband. Otherwise, my wife would be upset with me if I didn't throw that in.
I had to pause because I didn't know the answer to that. You notice I leapfrogged right over that just not to have an awkward moment, but thank you for pointing that out.
Um, I was juggling a lot of things, and frankly, sleep is overrated. I like to say that if you want something done, give it to someone who's very busy, right? That'll get it done.
Right.
I usually wrote in the early mornings from 6 a.m. till about 9 a.m. is when I found that I did my best writing. Weekends in the mornings, again, from 6 till about 10. That's when I was at my most creative, I guess, when the juices were flowing. I did miss a couple of sporting events for my kids and some other activities to get the book done. But like I said, it was a passion project, and so my family was very understanding, and I'm grateful for that. And they gave me the time that I needed to write the book.
Love it. So it's The Manipulator. It's just the first installment in a series. What is next for that character, Tom Burt?
So Tom Bertie, you'll see him again in early 2026 in The Winter Verdict. Story takes place 5 years after the end of The Manipulator. And again, Tom will be faced with a challenge and a moral dilemma, and pitting, justice versus evil in a different setting. And I hope the readers enjoy The Winter Verdict as much as they've enjoyed The Manipulator.
I love it. I'm sorry for mispronouncing the fictitious attorney's name, Berte. Berte. What advice do you have for somebody for somebody? Hope he won't fictitiously sue me. What advice do you have? We got 30 seconds left for somebody who wants to write a book, who dreams of it. What do you tell them?
Right, right, right,
There you
right.
go.
Pursue your
Excellent.
dreams. It took me 30 years to write this. Rejections from agents, rejections from publishers, but I persevered. And I was lucky enough to find an agent who believed in me and believed in the work and wanted to represent me. And then, of course, a publisher who agreed to publish my book and give me a multi-book deal. So write. If you believe in what you've written, keep at it, and good things will come.
Amen. All right. Attorney and novelist Dan Buzetta, author of The Manipulator. Go buy the book. I'm going to. This sounds fascinating. I can't wait to check it out. I have so many lawyers in my family. I'm sure I could understand it very well as a result. Thank you, Dan, for coming on this morning. All the
Thank you.
best to you. You
Same
bet.
to you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. 8:28 right now. When we come back, we will be giving you more local news. The phone lines are open too. We'll be right back. Very good morning. It is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. 37 degrees now at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. Light rain this morning, maybe a flurry. In fact, a little accumulation in parts of Morris County. Then breaks of sun in the afternoon, highs mid to upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will have the detailed Garden State forecast in just a few seconds.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
I wonder how much Mike Black would charge to have maybe 20 different cut-in voices for and
Uh-huh.
now Mike is entering for dinner. And then, and now Mike is putting Nino to bed. I think that would be good.
I smell a promo in the works. That's a promo right there. There've been some fun commercials I've done over the years, but that might be top. So I think you're onto something, Ken. We'll pitch it in the meeting in a half hour.
I'm
How about
just
that?
saying, that'll work. I will pitch that.
That'll work.
So what are we looking at in terms of forecast? It's going to clear up here a little bit, right?
A little bit. In northern New Jersey, you will get a few breaks of sun, but you have to wait till the late afternoon. The rest of the state stays cloudy. Look at the energy with this system. It's actually swirling as it goes out to sea. You can see the swirl there. These clouds moving this way, these clouds moving that way, showing the rotation in that storm as it moves quickly offshore. That's why southern New Jersey got hit with those winds and some of the heavier rains earlier this morning, and where it was colder, had some snow mixed in. Right now, that rain is wrapping up, but you'll still have wind and clouds for the rest of the day. A live check of radar at 8:31 showing all of the heaviest of the rain and whatever snow is mixed in. Moving quickly out to sea there out toward Long Island. So exiting New Jersey quickly, as forecast in the next hour or two, we'll see all of that wet weather wrapping up. Even down there toward Monmouth and Ocean County. That stripe of green could have been about an inch to an inch and a half of rain, but again, there were some snowflakes mixed in there, so maybe not all of that reaching the ground as the algorithm kind of gets busted when it sees all of those high reflectivities with the snowflakes and wet-coated ice pellets mixed in the clouds. As far as the wind today, it does get gusty down the shore, but the rest of the afternoon will feature a little bit of a breeze out of the north and east. That keeps the clouds around for South Jersey. I think the rain, again, wraps up in the next 2 or 3 hours, but the clouds will be around predominantly through the remainder of the afternoon, unless you find yourself in northern New Jersey, where already some clearing is trying to occur as the last of the showers move out to the east. The futurecast showing that clearing there in the northeastern corner of the state might happen right around sunset, closer to 4 and 5 o'clock. And with that clearing, that allows temperatures to dip back into the low 30s. So it's around freezing tomorrow morning. We get a lot more sunshine back for Thursday, but Friday features more clouds. So we're kind of laying on that overcast layer pretty thick going into the morning. Friday, we're in the 30s and 40s. A wind out of the south and east, keeping the moisture high. That allows for more rain to come in for Friday and fall throughout Friday night. However, the weekend looks beautiful. So after we get another quick round of rain for Friday evening, you see all of these clouds that are around for tomorrow and especially down the shore. For Friday, there's our wet weather late Friday night, and then clearing just in time for the weekend. Beautiful sunshine on the way for Saturday and Sunday. A very sunny weekend ahead, and one that's not terribly chilly either. The low 50s, we'll take it, given how chilly it's been. So a few more opportunities for rain as we head into the weekend. But again, I think we're dry most of the weekend, even down the shore. Just after sunrise, we clear out these showers, bring back sunshine for the rest of the day and into the first part of next week. So looking good around here, Ken, heading into Thanksgiving week.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. And we have 37 degrees up and down the state. Actually, no, it just went up a degree in Trenton. Otherwise, all morning long, it's been 37 top of state to bottom, which I find kind of interesting, as Mike pointed out. An accumulation of a dusting in parts of Morris County already, as was the forecast. That could very well happen today. Otherwise, it's just light rain pretty much everywhere else. Let's go over to 295. Right now, we have a crash on 295 northbound. North of exit 65, which is Sloan Avenue in Hamilton Township, with the right shoulder closed. And you can see exactly that right there with emergency vehicles on the scene. We also have a crash on US 1 northbound south of Ford Avenue, Woodbridge Township, with the right lane of 3 lanes closed there, and a missing sewer grate on 1 and 9 Tunnelly Avenue southbound, south of Fairview Ave in Fairview. The right lane of 2 lanes closed there. We have a crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway southbound, north of Interchange 14, which is 1 and 9 in Newark. The left lane blocked there. And then a bunch of stuff on the Garden State. We don't have cameras available today. They're down for some reason, but there's a crash on the GSP northbound, north of Colonia service area, Woodbridge. All lanes are open, but that's causing rubbernecking. And a crash and vehicle fire and vehicle off the roadway, Garden State Parkway Express lane southbound, north of exit 120, Old Bridge Township, with the left shoulder blocked. We also have a traffic signal down Route 124 eastbound Springfield Ave in Springfield Township, the right lane closed. And now your approaches to the to the Hudson River. Holland Tunnel is actually 25 minutes, not so bad. It's 30 minutes at the Lincoln. And right now, the GWB upper and lower levels, 35 to 40 minutes. It's a little better on the upper on the right than the lower on the left. 8:36 is our time, and the Senate has approved a House-passed bill that would require the Justice Department to release files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, effectively now sending it to President Trump's desk, as that would happen sometime probably this morning. Trump said earlier this week he would sign the bill that would compel the Justice Department to publicly release files related to Epstein and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell within 30 days of the signature, with some exceptions for survivors' personal information and other sensitive material. Republican lawmakers denounced the vote as a stunt, pointing out that Democrats were clearly hoping there would be dirt in there on Trump, and it looks like they will be severely disappointed. If there is nothing on President Trump in the Epstein file, mark my words, you will not hear another word about Epstein from that point forward. Once it's determined President Trump is not in there, the mainstream media, left-wing mainstream media, will change the subject and find another shiny object to divert their attention or your attention. Trust me, that's the way it goes. And that's the game they're playing. They are begging for anything on Trump because there were pictures surfacing of Trump with Epstein. Those pictures were taken before any allegations were even made about Epstein and child predation and sex trafficking, etc. And then once Epstein, apparently there was an episode in the 90s where Epstein tried to hire away one of Trump's employees at Mar-a-Lago. And at that same point, Epstein was trying to pick up an underage girl who was the daughter of a member of Mar-a-Lago. Trump kicked him out and never communicated with Epstein again. And shortly thereafter, Epstein was convicted of being a child predator and a sex trafficker. There is no record that from that point on there was any connection between Trump and Epstein. But yet mainstream media loves to show all the pre-pictures, the early pictures, and you could date the pictures. They know when those pictures were taken before Epstein had any allegations against him. Why would you know? Guarantee somebody in your life you know today, 10 years from now, will be in legal trouble. Does somebody go back and say, there was that picture of Mary and Joe from 2025. Joe had to know. That's how you got to think of it, folks. Just open mind here. Let's not be childish. Speaking of something, though, that is not looking good, we have something not looking good for Hakeem Jeffries, because reports suggest that in 2013, that is after we already had the conviction of Epstein as a child predator and sex trafficker. 2013, House Minority Leader Democrat Hakeem Jeffries did solicit funding from the disgraced financier, Jeffrey Epstein. This is again after Epstein was convicted of being a child predator. One of the latest batches of files released to Jeffrey Epstein, or of Jeffrey Epstein, we should say, revealed there was a solicitation of funding sent from a firm representing Jeffries that was sent to the sex predator. And in an email sent from the firm to Epstein, it reads, quote, "We are thrilled to announce that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars in the New York congressional delegation. Sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack, he is a staunch supporter of President Obama and a progressive voice for the people of New York City." No comment from Hakeem Jeffries, but and whether he actually accepted that money, that has to be investigated now. But there's a lot that's stinking to high heaven, including the congresswoman from the U.S. Virgin Islands, who during a hearing in Congress was receiving text messages with questions to ask the person they were interviewing from the actual man they were talking about, Epstein, who at the time was condemning Trump because Trump didn't want anything to do with him anymore. So Trump is the one who actually comes out smelling like a rose in this. He looks like he has no connection with Epstein. Once any dirt came out on Epstein, he distanced himself from him and he forbade Epstein from entering Mar-a-Lago. And he had no further communications with him. So Trump actually looks like the good guy. In the meantime, President Trump this is unconnected to Epstein. He held a friendly meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House yesterday, praising the prince for his statesmanship and announcing $1 trillion in new Saudi investment in the United States. You hear that? Saudi Arabia will invest $1 trillion in the United States to boost our economy. The White House rolled out plenty of pomp for the Saudi royal, dispatching fighter jets for the two to watch. Trump formally announced the deal to sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia, and the Saudis have said they would join the Abraham Accords, but only after there's a credible and guaranteed path to Palestinian statehood, something the president has suggested could be a possibility. Mikey Sherrill has resigned from Congress. The governor-elect of New Jersey formally submitted her congressional resignation letters to House Speaker Mike Johnson and Governor Murphy. Sherrill wrote in a social media post, "Serving New Jersey's 11th district in Congress has been the honor of a lifetime." Sherrill was elected as New Jersey's newest governor earlier this month, defeating Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Governor Murphy will now call for a special election to replace her. And a liberal Democrat, former Dumont mayor and current police sergeant, was arrested Monday for allegedly drugging and sexually assaulting a child he met online. 44-year-old Jersey City Police Sergeant Andrew LaBruno, who unsuccessfully ran for a state assembly seat earlier this month and was endorsed and supported strongly by Mikey Sherrill, went to the Englewood home of a child, a boy he met online, and sprayed an unknown substance into his hand before placing it over the victim's mouth and nose, causing the victim dizziness. That, according to a criminal complaint. LaBruno is a married father of two. He allegedly then sexually assaulted the child, who was physically helpless from the drugging. LaBruno, who ran on the Democratic ticket for the 39th Legislative District in Bergen County, has been charged with aggravated sexual assault, and endangering the welfare of a child. Word is he's been suspended from the Jersey City PD. The victim was brought to a local hospital for treatment. It is 8:42 right now, and when we come back, what you need to know to keep your liver healthy, something people don't tend to think about. Light rain this morning, maybe a snow flurry, breaks of sun in the afternoon, highs mid to upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls. 888-658-0234. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. We're back in 2. Don't go away.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
I'm Ken Rosato at 8:45, taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Light rain this morning, maybe a flurry here or there, breaks of sun in the afternoon, highs in the mid to upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will be back in 10 seconds with the Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
When I promise, I deliver. There he is.
Right.
Hey, Mike.
And there was no traffic this morning, so I did it in 8 seconds. Lightning fast speed. But it's those that wake up this morning and look outside, they open the curtains and go, wait a minute, it snowed? Yes, if you were in Morris County this morning, you had a little touch of snow on the ground. All these little white snowflakes you see here, these dots on the map showing where the snow was falling. Okay, well, there you are. Just over 0.2 inches of snow there in Morris Plains. You head up toward Montville, you had 0.3 inches of snow. And there's a one up here towards Sparta. There it is, Lake Mohawk, New Jersey, with almost an inch of snow, 0.7 inches right there in Sparta Township. So quite a bit of snow on the ground this morning. The flakes and flurries amounted to something, and you can see even some of these little stripes of blue showing where the computer model showed that it had a little bit more than a dusting. So our forecast today points to now clearing through the rest of the day in northern New Jersey. These rain and snow flurries not going to be around for much longer. In fact, they're already starting to clear out. As the weather turns cooler this afternoon, we get a few breaks of sun before the day is through. But if you really want the warmth, in the next 2 weeks, head down south, Florida, anticipating above average temperatures there going into the first few days of December. And here in New Jersey, we'll have slightly higher than average rainfall amounts over the next 2 weeks. Our 7-day forecast pointing to our few chances of rain happening again on Friday morning into Friday afternoon and later on that night. I think it clears out by Saturday morning, and then we're back to beautiful weather come Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So very dry heading into the Thanksgiving holiday. Hopefully the turkey stays nice and moist, but going into Saturday and Sunday, again down the shore, more clouds, and then clearing just in time for the weekend with a slightly milder trend. So Ken, if you're hoping for the deep freeze to put all of your sides and all of the things to stay chilled outside, can't do that this year. It's going to be a little too mild, but we like mild for a Thanksgiving holiday, right?
So, yes, indeed. I like mild. I like 80-degree Thanksgiving holidays, but I'm just a little crazy that way. Yes. I like it when the turkey sheds its feathers because it's too hot. That's my kind of Thanksgiving holiday. I know I'm the only guy. Gobble, freaking gobble, freaking gobble. That's what the turkey says. All right, Mike. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the morning meeting. Little inside baseball. 37 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 38 degrees in Trenton, and it's 37 down in Cape May. And in terms of traffic, let's start out at which one would you like to start out with, Pam? You want to do the 139? Yeah, let's go to 139. So this is the approach to the Holland Tunnel. We have issues right now from Tunnelly Avenue through into the Holland Tunnel. You can see those stopped vehicles right there, and that stretches all the way back to Tunnelly Avenue. There's a missing sewer grate back on 1 and 9 at Tunnelly southbound, south of Fairview Avenue, Fairview, and then that traffic goes all the way as you make your way to the Holland Tunnel at 139. So that's just an absolute mess today. We have a problem at the 295 right now, northbound. North of exit 65, which is Sloan Avenue in Hamilton Township. This has been around for about an hour now. The right shoulder is closed. If we could see 295 northbound, north of exit 65, Sloan Avenue, Hamilton Township. The right shoulder is closed. You can see the vehicle, the emergency vehicle there off to the right shoulder, and that's causing about 2 miles of slowdowns, especially on the damp roadways. We have an issue on the Garden State Parkway, delays on the GSP northbound, north of the Toms River Toll Plaza to north of Chambers Bridge Road in Brick. All lanes are open, but there's a 5-mile backup there. That's all going about 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's about it. Traffic signal down Route 124 eastbound Springfield Ave and Springfield Township, right lane closed there. And making your way into the Hudson River approaches right now, the Holland Tunnel, as we mentioned, we already have that issue. Let's go over to the Lincoln Tunnel now. This is the approach to the Lincoln Tunnel. You could see the slowdown right here, and that's due to a disabled vehicle at the Lincoln South Tunnel, eastbound New Jersey side, Weehawken Township, with the left lane blocked. You could see the delays there in the middle, and that's as you make your way onto 495, which is the helix getting into the Lincoln Tunnel. Other issues at the GWB, although it it's slow. It is moving. It's going to cost you about 35 minutes into the GWB, upper and lower levels, the upper level on the right, lower on the left. And yes, it's stopped now. That was moving a moment ago, but they're saying 35 to 40. I bet you that's about 45 to 50 making your way into Manhattan at this hour. It is 8:50. Organ and tissue donation is certainly a topic that touches families and communities across New Jersey every single day. And while the headlines often remind us of the urgency, like the heartbreaking recent news of New York Jets legend Nick Mangold's passing while waiting for a kidney transplant, the need for education, awareness, and action remains as critical as ever. And this morning, we're joined by somebody who works at the center of that mission. Kelly Bonaventure is the Director of Communications and Hospital Development at ONNJ Sharing Network, the nonprofit responsible for the recovery and placement of donated organs and tissues across our state. Kelly, good to have you on this morning.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. I hope I didn't scare you. I mentioned liver health at the top there. We were talking, I'm just thinking liver transplants are among them. You're trying to get organs and tissues, period. So with the loss of poor Nick Mangold, he was still, of course, waiting for a kidney transplant. The loss still weighing heavily on so many people. How has his story brought renewed attention to the urgent need for organ donation?
Well, first, I want to express our sincere condolences and sympathies to the Mangold family. Nick was, as a football fan, I watched him play many games and know what an amazing center he was for the New York Jets. And more importantly, what an incredible person he was. So we send our sincere sympathies and condolences to the Mangold family on that loss. Nick's passing has absolutely helped us to raise awareness, and very similar to what organ donation does, turning tragedy into triumph. Nick's story has also helped us to do that. Raising awareness is very, very important. The need for organ donation is great. And Nick's story showcases how organ transplant can touch anyone of any age or any background. Each person that's waiting for a transplant is a person with a family, friends, and their own story. And in the United States, unfortunately, we lose 13 people each day waiting for a life-saving transplant. So registering as an organ and tissue donor is the way that we can all respond to Nick's passing and show that we can do something to help meet that need.
And do you think just for so many people, it's just that uncomfortable topic they don't want to think about, but yet we just need to set aside a few minutes and just check off the box on the driver's license or sign up for it or sign the living will or tell your relatives, make sure everybody knows that, should the time come that I want to donate my organs, should that occur. And you could also be a living donor as well, right? You can donate a kidney. You can also donate the lobe of your liver. You could donate one of the 3 lobes and save lives. People don't realize that a lobe of your liver, if healthy, going into a person who is not too advanced, will grow into a full liver. When I found that out, I was amazed, and it could fully function. I have 2 friends, a friend and a relative, both who've had lobe transplants, both living very healthfully today.
Yes, living donation is an option for those on the transplant waiting list. Unfortunately, there's 100,000 people on the wait list in the United States, 4,000 people waiting right here in the state of New Jersey. And as I said, 13 people pass away each day waiting. And the simple reason is that obviously the need exceeds the supply of available organs. In order for somebody to become an organ donor, they need to pass away in a hospital on a ventilator, or they're an automatic rule out for organ donation. So obviously the need is huge, and they're very, very small pool of eligible donors. So this is why opportunities such as the one you're giving us this morning is so important for us to raise that awareness and to encourage people to make an educated decision about donation. And as you said, saying yes, sharing your wishes with your family. People don't want to talk about end-of-life decisions, but this is one that really needs to be discussed and talked about.
Absolutely. Kelly, what are some of the most common myths or misconceptions that you encounter about organ and tissue donation, and what's the truth behind it?
So the number one myth that we hear each and every day is people believe if they are a registered organ donor that the healthcare team will not work to save their lives and that they just want their organs for transplant, which nothing could be further from the truth. As I just said, you have to pass away in a hospital on a ventilator in order to be eligible to be an organ donor. So that healthcare team is working really, really hard to save that person's life. Healthcare team does not know whether a person is a registered organ donor or not. It is only organizations such as ours. The New Jersey Sharing Network is the federally designated organ procurement organization for the state of New Jersey. And there are 56 organ procurement organizations across the country. And it is the organ procurement organization that knows if the person is registered or not the hospital. So that is the number one myth that we hear each and every day.
And that's awful because that dissuades, I'm sure, some people from doing what is a noble and correct thing to do. There is no greater friend than one who lays down his life for a friend. No greater deed, I should say, than to lay down one's life for a friend, as the gospel says of John. Why should the organ, if the person is brain dead, why should the organ be buried with the body when it could live on? Your loved one could live on. You could live on in other people and save countless lives. And who knows, maybe the life you save may go on to find a cure for cancer or to be able to recreate organs in a test tube, and we won't even need to do this again. That's the amazing thing we have to think about. There's a reason for everything and the reason for life. What are the recent milestones and records the state has reached in terms of lives saved and donor registrations?
So last year we had a record-breaking year of growth. We were able to save and transplant 743 organs. And in the state of New Jersey, we have over 3 million people registered to be organ donors. So New Jersey is rallying. New Jersey is very, very generous, and they are rising to the occasion, but not to the degree that we need them to. So we encourage people, visit our website, learn more about the process, feel comfortable with your decision, and you can register right on our website. Most people think you need to go to the Motor Vehicle Commission to register.
What is the website, Kelly? Because we got 10 seconds left. What is that website?
ONNJSharingNetwork.org.
There you go. Kelly Bonventure, Director of Communications and Hospital Development at ONNJ Sharing Network. Thank you for coming on this morning. Very
Thank you,
important
Ken.
information. And have a good
Thank you so
Thanksgiving
much.
to you.
You too.
You bet. Thank you. And you are watching ONNJ Mornings for your Wednesday, and that is our program. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.